Sports. They are a centerpiece of the American story. But without the contributions of the black athlete, sports would not be what they are today. The black athlete has broken down barriers.
Texas Western and started 5 African American players for the first time ever in the 1966 championship game against Kentucky.
But to this day, America struggles to see the black athlete as something more.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
An activist, using their platform to inspire change.
At the end of the day, I'm going to continue to fight for what I'm fighting for.
And as something more than just an athlete.
I need your body, I need your physical strength. And so that's why, for example, within the institution of slavery, it was against the law to read. It was against the law to write. You don't need that for you to do what I need you to do.
Dr. Marshall Stevenson is a professor of African American history at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. He argues that early on in this country's history, black people, and black men in particular, have been boxed in.
Not only can you use your body to work for me, you can entertain me.
Expected to work using their bodies and entertain and not speak up nor challenge the status quo.
That's how the black body, for men, were viewed. You know, it's almost like sport and work were coupled very early on.
After the abolition of slavery, in 1908, one man made history becoming the first African American heavyweight boxing champion, Jack Johnson.
By that time, white America hates him because he lives his life as a free man, right? You're not going to tell him what to do.
Johnson was known to be intimate with white women, which challenged the then racial status quo. He was later prosecuted with the Mann Act, accusing him of transporting women across state lines for, quote, immoral purposes.
And I think after that, and the backlash to that, the next famous black athletes are put in that position where you don't want to be Jack Johnson, because if you're like that, you'll ruin not only your chance, but for everybody.
In 1936, another black athlete made history. Jesse Owens crushed Hitler's myth of Aryan superiority at the Berlin Olympics by winning 4 gold medals. But despite representing his country and winning on its behalf, he still came home to racism.
When I came back to my native country, after all those stories about Hitler, I couldn't ride in the front of the bus. I had to go to the back door. I couldn't live where I wanted. I wasn't invited to shake hands with Hitler, but I wasn't invited to the White House to shake hands with the president either.
And in 1947, came along an athlete that would break the color barrier in sports.
You have to be this good American. You're going to get all this racism, but you have to take it.
Jackie Robinson. In 1945, Branch Rickey, then owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, had this exchange with Jackie.
Mr. Rickey, do you want a ball player who's afraid to fight back?
Robinson asked. No, came the reply. I want a ball player with guts enough not to fight back.
That sets the mold for others to follow, right? This idea that you have to take it in, you have to be really, really good, as Jackie Robinson was, but also really quiet.
However, after Robinson finished his rookie year in the majors, he began to view his sports celebrity as a means to challenge racism.
A lot of people didn't like Jackie Robinson because he's that person, right, who America sees as somebody who's constantly reminding America that there's racism there. Then he becomes the problem. Instead of, obviously, racism.
And other athletes soon followed suit.
You not opposing when I want freedom. You not opposing when I want equality. You not opposing when I want justice. You won't even stand up for me here in America. You want me to go over and fight for America, and you won't stand up for me right here at home.
So Ali loses 3 years of his career.
This is pretty important to me because it was given to me and it's signed by Tommie Smith, so I have a significant part of history here.
And in 1968, a silent gesture showed the power of the black athlete to draw attention to injustice.
They were viewed as the most anti-American, villainous individuals to walk the face of the earth.
But with the activism, soon comes backlash.
John Carlos and Tommie Smith are kicked out of the Olympics, and Tommie Smith in 1968 breaks the world record. On the one hand, you see what happens to those athletes. Then on the other hand, you see what happens to an OJ. It's really true where he says, like, I'm not black, I'm OJ. You had the combination of what happens to those who speak out, plus when the really good guys stay silent, and now all of a sudden there's room for them to make money. That's what you follow, right? You follow the OJ model, you follow the MJ model.
Fast forward to 2012, Trayvon Martin, an unarmed black teen, is killed in Florida. LeBron James, along with the Heat, break from that model and wear hoodies as a form of activism. And after a string of cases of police brutality resulting in the killings of unarmed black men, more black athletes continue to use their platform.
We have decided it's important to take a stand and raise our voices. Racial profiling is a problem. Senseless violence is a problem.
Here they are wearing Black Lives Matters shirts specifically with names on them, right? And then when they got in trouble, they said, look, we're just gonna have a media blackout, right? And they actually have more to risk.
Soon after, another silent gesture once again was used as a form of activism.
You have a badge, yes. You're supposed to be protecting us, not murdering us. And that's what the issue really is, and we need to change that.
People see a lot more problems with him taking a knee than lives actually being lost. You know, I don't think that equates, and then they'll say, like, you know, my grandfather fought in the war. You know, there's a lot of people, grandfathers that fought in the war and came home to racism, you know?
And like Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Muhammad Ali, and other athletes before him, Kaepernick's activism was met with vitriol.
When the NFL just tried to shut him up. If we could keep him out of sight, if we could keep him off the news airs. I mean, they even went as far to make sure his name wasn't mentioned in Madden. If we can keep him out of sight, out of mind, no one's going to worry about it.
And a new form of resistance encapsulated by 4 words grew in response to black athlete activism.
Shut up and dribble.
Look, all I need you to do is to dribble the ball, throw the ball, run down the field. I don't need you to say anything. I paid for that. I didn't pay to hear you voice your opinion on the topics of the day.
Yeah, that shut up and dribble type of attitude is part of the problem. Those people are part of the problem. If you're not willing to empathize and take a walk in our shoes and see it from our side, then you're part of the problem.
Excuse me? Like, what do you mean shut up? Like, what do you mean shut up and dribble? Do you know how I feel? Have you been in my shoes? Have you experienced the things I've experienced?
Right now, we're trying to focus on Black Lives Matter. We're not saying we're better than anybody else. It's just Black lives are in danger right now. We're trying to focus on that.
And after the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, black athletes once again used their platform to bring attention to the black experience in America.
It's amazing to me why we keep loving this country, and this country does not love us back.
But much like the past, resistance to black athlete activism continues. And Dr. Moore argues that trying to silence black athletes will result in the U.S. reliving bad history.
It excuses that racism. It creates it creates room for that. It acknowledges it. Just, hey, this is going to exist, right? The appropriate way is to allow people to use their platform, right? Because once you allow the athlete to use his platform, whether it's Jackie Robinson or Cap, then you're saying that injustice has to stop. The moment you silence the protester, you're giving room, right, for this bad history to continue in America.